Hi, I thought I'd do an audio update while also unpacking my dishwasher. I got a new little microphone, so I'm excited to see how this goes. And maybe it will also give better sound quality on my videos and meditations, which I'm going to record some more of. This week was grief in my was the subject in unfucking was grief. And this week it was really challenging for me going into this workshop because apparently I cared a lot about this topic of grief, which would make sense because it's been a massive theme in my life. But what I found is that having to go in to talk about it, that wasn't the trigger. For me, it was more about this topic as such a topic close to my heart. I wanted to do it well. I wanted to do it justice, and I was scared of failing. And part of this topic that I was sharing include my own mythology in Māori mythology. So in Unfucking, I share my own interpretation of different Māori myths and legends, and I share that with my own spin on it. And this is like not a common theme that I've seen done in Te Ao Māori. I mean, at least in the spaces I've seen. But what I am kind of learning or feel is that our Māori myths and our Māori legends are indeed the same as like when Jesus taught in parables. And parables are a story told in a way that could then go on to teach people things in different scenarios. So they're like a living teaching. A parable is like or a myth is like a living teaching that you can apply to many different circumstances. And so with this realization was kind of my understanding that I'm kind of doing something that hasn't been done that I'm aware of, and that will maybe in the future take off, but it also might meet resistance, because anytime there's something new and people don't like it, or it hasn't been done before, there will be some sort of resistance. And I think the fear of that kind of came up for me, of people wondering whether I'm appropriating and all these other ideas about that would come up with it. But what I realized was like that fear wasn't just mine. It, I feel, goes back to the ancestral roots I carry, and that my ancestors called out different things in the past and we're not believed. So there's that of like, in the past, my ancestors stood for different things and they weren't believed, and kind of like, I guess there's that real fear of that happening again in my own life. And so I had to address this topic in myself. And I shared in class this week about, I'll just share briefly about it here because I already shared about it in class and I don't want to go overboard with it. But I was sharing in class about when I realized that I had to deal with this on my own, or even not even when I realized that I had to deal with it on my own, when I realized it was coming up, instead of me just going like and dealing with it the way I teach my students to, I bloody messaged my friend and I was like, oh my God, I'm going through this thing. Are you busy? Can you help me? And she was like, actually, I am busy. What's up? And then I kind of explained it, and then I realized like, oh my God, you're doing what you tell your students not to do. Like, don't call in the big guns. Like, you are the big guns. Do it yourself. So I went in, I did a meditation. Actually, no, what I did, I can't lie. What I actually did was I went and I took a nap because I was like, this is overwhelming and I don't want to face it. But actually, what that did was like gave me the space and the clarity that I needed. And that's what I talk about in the law of three, is sometimes you need the three forces in order to create. And so to create in this sense was to create clarity around what I was experiencing. I needed some passive and some neutral time. So I went to sleep, took a sleep, woke up, had to go to work. And then during all of that was when the clarity came. I was driving home after work and I realized, oh my God, this is exactly how my ancestors felt when they were they were trying to forge a new way of governance and a new way of sovereignty. Back in the day, they were called the ho-hos, and they were not looked at with, I guess the crown hated them is the long and short of it. The crown hated them, and they were all for sovereignty of land and that kind of thing. And so I was just like, this is a pattern that's played out before in my whakapapa, and now it's kind of playing out in my own life, and realizing that, you know, sometimes we have to do hard things and we don't want to do it. So I got to this point in unfucking where I was like, I don't want to do it. I'm done with this business. I want to go back to my old job and live a normal life. And the interesting thing is that I knew that resistance would come at this point because I've studied my system and I know how it works. But the interesting thing was that my students were also experiencing the same thing, and they were on the verge of tapping out too. And because I know about the law of three, I knew how to step up and help them in that. But more so to the point is that I was able to really just show up and show them, you know, that it's okay to want to give up and it's okay to want to quit. It's not the wanting to quit that makes you a failure. It's the quitting that makes failure. And so I, you know, worked through that resistance in myself of not wanting to teach that class because, as I said, it was dear to my heart. The class was like a big, big thing, and I wanted to do it well. And then the fear of being a perfectionist and not getting it right and not doing it well, it just felt easier to not do it at all. And I'm not a perfectionist by nature. Like, people who know me would laugh if I said I was being a perfectionist. But in things that matter to me, I am really a perfectionist, like very perfectionist. And so, yeah, I had to move past that and say, it will be what it will be. You know the topic, you know the notes, you've prepared yourself, you're passionate about it. It will be what it will be. You can't give up now. And oh my God, it was the best class I've ever run, hands down. It was incredible. And I loved every part of it. And I had not shared my myth that I had written because I didn't want to misappropriate things. And after that class, I realized I'm not misappropriating anything. I'm writing something that applies to me in my life and how it unfolds. And so I'm going to share it how it's relevant to me. And if people take that for goodness, then that's cool. And if they don't, then that's not, you know, that's fine too. That's a parable. It applies to who it applies to. Anyway, that's kind of my ramble for the day. I hope this week has been good for you. I've got this cool little booklet coming out soon that I'm going to mail to people. It's called The Little Black Book on Boundaries. And I can't wait to share it with you guys. Anyway, much love, and we will talk soon.